Nepal's financial sector is accelerating. Insurers are adopting complex, risk-based frameworks that require precise mathematical modeling to keep the system stable. Behind every bustling storefront and commercial loan in this dense economy, there is a web of insurance contracts. To guarantee those contracts will actually pay out in a crisis, regulators rely on sophisticated data analysis. The Nepal Insurance Authority recently mandated advanced regulatory standards, specifically risk-based capital valuation, or RBC, and own risk solvency assessments, known as ORSA. These frameworks force companies to prove they have enough capital in reserve to survive worst-case scenarios. Implementing these models require specialized technical professionals, actuaries. Historically, Nepal has lacked domestic actuarial talent. Insurers have been forced to outsource their statutory reporting and solvency compliance to foreign experts. This creates logistical bottlenecks and causes capital to flow out of the country just to maintain basic compliance. Relying on outsourced oversight places a hard limit on the sophistication and speed of Nepal's financial growth. To break this cycle, the Nepal Insurance Authority issued the 2024 guideline related to actuary appointment. The guideline enforces a strict mandate. Every licensed insurer in the country must hire at least one domestic actuarial analyst. By early 2026, the industry largely complied. 32 insurers hired at least one domestic analyst. However, compliance is not the same as capacity. If the entire industry agrees this role is necessary, and regulators have mandated their presence, why are these new hires facing massive friction in their daily operations? To measure this, researchers conducted a dual perspective survey. They captured ground truth data from 40 working analysts and 37 of their direct supervisors across the industry. The results reveal a severe disconnect between regulatory intent and managerial reality. This operational failure is stalling the development of a domestic actuarial function. We have to look at exactly who these new hires are. Actuarial science requires passing a long series of rigorous international exams to achieve full qualification. This chart shows actuarial exams cleared by the current cohort in Nepal. The distribution peaks with the vast majority passing between 3 to 6 exams, active students, not finished professionals. Mapping their work experience, the data clusters at the below 2 years mark. Consequently, almost all of these analysts hold entry-level or assistant titles within their respective organizations. This profile dictates the required strategy. This is a junior cohort representing raw mathematical potential. To mature into fully qualified professionals capable of certifying these complex financial models, they require aggressive, structured mentorship. Insurers have acquired students. On-the-job training is the single most critical variable in determining whether this entire regulatory policy succeeds. When we track where these analysts are placed inside their companies, a clear pattern emerges. The highest placement rates are in the valuation and risk departments, where you would expect to find personnel calculating capital solvency. But zooming in from the department level to their daily task logs reveals a structural problem. This breakdown of tasks within the risk-based capital valuation department shows exactly how they spend their time. The vast majority goes to populating QRRT compliance templates, rote data entry. Meanwhile, engagement with core actuarial science work, like modeling and experience analysis, is nearly non-existent. By treating them as data entry clerks, insurers are effectively halting their professional growth. They are being denied the practical exposure required to advance. The 2024 guideline anticipated this risk. Regulators included a qualitative mandate. Appointed actuaries must provide these analysts with at least 10 hours of direct, on-the-job training for each relevant task. This split screen compares that regulatory rule against the survey data. Exactly 50% of the working analysts report receiving 0 on-the-job training. The communication breakdown goes deeper, with nearly a third operating without any direct contact with their appointed actuary. The accountability failure works in both directions. 40% of the analysts fail to maintain the routine work logs required by the guideline, breaking the feedback loop. Yet, when we shift to the supervisors serving responses, their perception of the environment is vastly different. Despite massive training and communication failures, over 90% of managers rate their analysts as highly essential and deeply value additive to the organization. Management is extracting short-term value from cheap data processing. Because the immediate compliance work is getting done, they are failing to build long-term technical capacity. This disconnect creates a satisfaction paradox at the center of the workforce. From the supervisor's perspective, the hiring experiment is a success. They report high satisfaction across all analyst performance metrics, praising their technical proficiency and professionalism. This diverging bar chart compares that managerial approval against how the analysts actually feel. The analysts report deep dissatisfaction regarding their compensation, the lack of training, and the absence of any clear career progression. There is a heady psychological toll to being highly valued for low-level compliance work while being denied a clear pathway for advancement. The terminal consequence of this paradox shows up in the retention data. The two most common challenges insurers face in retaining these analysts are the pursuit of higher education abroad and better career opportunities outside the country. By failing to provide progression and mentorship, the Nepalese insurance market is triggering a brain drain, pushing its most vital talent to leave the country. Moving the industry forward requires treating these analysts as strategic national assets. The immediate operational fix requires enforcing the qualitative mandates already written into the NIA guideline. Insurers must execute those 10-hour practical training blocks and expose analysts to core valuation modeling. To ensure accountability, feedback from the appointed actuary must be directly integrated into routine performance reviews. This flowchart visualizes a healthy, closed-loop ecosystem. There must be a transparent corporate ladder where compensation increases are linked to actuarial exam milestones, and performance reviews are tied to direct actuary feedback. These structural incentives form a blueprint for the future. By rewarding education and practical skill development, Nepal can replace its reliance on foreign consultants with a self-sustaining domestic ecosystem. Solving the retention crisis is the first step toward a self-reliant insurance sector, one that manages its own risks and keeps its technical expertise within its own borders.